Hey everyone, and welcome back to The Explainer. Today we're taking a deep, comprehensive look at diagnosing your company's true strategic readiness. We're going to unpack the definitive blueprint for looking under the hood of your organization to see what is really driving performance. And I promise you, we are going to make the usually dry topic of audits genuinely fascinating. I want you to honestly ask yourself right now, how healthy is your business really? Now, your immediate instinct might be to just point to a recent P&L statement or maybe a quarterly revenue report, but true organizational health, it goes way beyond just looking at the balance sheet. I mean, a company can be totally profitable today, but strategically bankrupt tomorrow if its internal systems are actually failing. Okay, let's dive into this. We kind of need to completely redefine a term that usually puts people straight to sleep: the internal audit. Based on the framework in Chapter 3 of Strategic Management, this isn't some dry financial inspection done by a guy in a back room with a calculator. Rather, it's a highly structured internal analysis process. Think of it as a comprehensive strategic tool used to diagnose your organization's strengths, weaknesses, capabilities, and overall strategic readiness across absolutely every functional system. To pull this off, we're going to follow a 5-step roadmap. First, the true internal audit. Second, management and culture. Third, the value chain and resources. Fourth, a departmental health check. And finally, calculating your score. It's basically like checking the brain, the heart, the nervous system, and the muscles of your business. So let's jump right into part 1, the true internal audit. Think of this entire process as a full-body medical checkup for your business. The critical mindset shift here is that our goal isn't just to list the resources you have lying around. No, it's to determine how effectively they actually create value. This multi-layered methodology serves some very specific purposes. We're hunting for organizational strengths and weaknesses, identifying core competencies, and making sure internal systems perfectly align with your strategy. We're evaluating resource utilization and leadership effectiveness. Ultimately, this rigorous process uncovers those hidden capabilities that actually drive your sustainable competitive advantage. Moving on to part 2, management and culture. If your strategy is the destination, management is the steering wheel, right? And culture is the engine. We need to check how leadership guides the company and exactly how your culture fuels it on a daily basis. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it grounds our management audit in a highly practical framework known as POSLC. We're looking directly at the breakdown of managerial effectiveness: planning, organizing, staffing, leading, and controlling. Basically, the structural brain of your business. Let's break POSLC down a bit. In planning, are your objectives and forecasting systems truly aligned? When it comes to organizing, ask yourself, are responsibilities clearly defined across the board? Is authority properly delegated? Staffing requires us to step back and look at how effectively talent is recruited and developed. Reading forces us to ask a really hard question: does leadership truly inspire and engage your employees? And finally, controlling is all about the metrics. Do you have timely performance dashboards and KPIs keeping everything on track? But, it all comes down to one absolutely critical question: does culture support strategy? We're transitioning here from the structural brain of management to the beating heart of the company. You could literally have the best PSLC framework in the world, but if your culture fundamentally resists your strategy, you are going to fail. So, to ensure strategic alignment, we have to audit the actual behavioral patterns of the organization. A cultural audit examines your values, norms, and beliefs. It looks at the rituals, the symbols, and the organizational stories that define the daily reality of your workers. We have to ask, is innovation genuinely encouraged here? And more importantly, do your employees' behaviors actually align with the organizational values you claim to hold? All right, part 3, value chain and resources. We've checked the brain and the heart, so now we're checking the nervous system and the muscles to see exactly how your company creates value and leverages its assets against the competition. The company value chain audit is split into 2 sides. On one side, we have primary activities: inbound and outbound logistics, operations, marketing and sales, customer service. These directly create value. On the other side are support activities, things like HR, procurement, technology, and infrastructure that back up those primary functions. The whole point of mapping this out is to measure efficiency, identify where waste is hiding, and figure out how to integrate these processes better. Building on that, we have the organizational resource audit. Tangible resources are your physical muscles: finances, buildings, machinery, technology, physical inventory. But conversely, we have intangible resources. We're talking brand reputation, knowledge, culture, skills, innovation capability, relationships. These intangibles are frequently the most powerful and, honestly, the most difficult to replicate assets your company possesses. And this brilliantly illustrates how we actually test the strength of those resources using the VRIO assessment. For any resource to provide a true, sustainable advantage, it has to pass this test. Is it valuable? Like, does it actually create value? Is it rare and unique? Is it inimitable? Meaning, is it difficult for competitors to copy? And finally, is your company organized and structured properly to exploit it? If you can answer yes to all four of those, well, you've got a massive strategic weapon.
Next up, step 4, the departmental health check. This is where we grab the stethoscope and drill down into the specific, daily functional performance of your individual departments. In areas like marketing, operations, and finance, we aren't just guessing. We are pulling specific, hard operational metrics to diagnose exactly how efficiently these individual systems are running. Now, we can organize what is normally a massive, overwhelming amount of departmental data into clear, measurable indicators. For marketing, we look at market share and customer satisfaction. In operations, we want to see productivity ratios and waste percentages. Over in finance, it's about liquidity, return on assets, return on equity, and debt equity ratios. And in HR, we measure success through concrete motivation and retention rates. It gives you this perfect, clear dashboard of your departmental vitals. Finally, stage 5, calculating your score.
We've gathered all this data from across the organization, and now we synthesize it into a final health score using the Internal Factor Evaluation, or IFE matrix. It's a structured 5-step process. Step 1, you just list out the key strengths and weaknesses we discovered. Step 2, you assign weights to these factors based on their industry importance. Step 3, you assign ratings based on your company's specific response to those factors. Step 4, you multiply them to calculate weighted scores. And Step 5, you tally the whole thing up to determine your total internal capability score. See? It makes the math feel entirely approachable and logically structured.
So, the crucial point is, what do you actually get out of this matrix? Well, you get absolute clarity. You walk away with a definitive list of strengths and weaknesses, clear identification of your core competencies, a quantified strategic capability score, and honestly, the ultimate foundation for your future SWOT and TOS analysis. It basically converts abstract operational feelings into hard, actionable strategic data. Which leaves us with this final, really critical thought to ponder. If you rigorously applied these comprehensive audit steps, if you evaluated your management, your culture, your value chain, and your departmental indicators, and calculated your score today, would your company pass the test? It's a challenging question, for sure, but answering it is the very first real step toward unshakable strategic readiness. Thanks so much for joining me on The Explainer.